I found artist David Coombs painting in the lobby of New York's legendary Chelsea Hotel. I watched Coombs try to make order of the chaos, a take-me-back-to-Kansas maelstrom of flying dogs and chairs. He knew the dogs in residence by name, of what, since the 1880s, has housed a galaxy of stars, meteorites, and yes, misfits, who made music, painted, wrote, made love, got stoned, and sometimes died here. Poet Dylan Thomas drank himself to death at the Chelsea.
It's had its share of self-destructive people, but that's not what it is for me. You know, it's the people that carry on, and there's no judgment.
Stanley Bard, whose family, until 2007, had run the Chelsea since 1938, was the kindly landlord, a gentleman with the patience to juggle dogs, chairs, and a cast of unconventional people.
It was one of the most important buildings built in this city. It was so important they named the area, the Chelsea area, after the building. It always had illustrious people in the theater, in writing. Sarah Bernhardt lived here. Mark Twain used to stay here all the time whenever he was in New York. And Sir Arthur C. Clarke was a great writer, but this he said he wouldn't say anywhere else, even though his publisher wanted to put up in the Waldorf.
Arthur Miller found refuge here after he broke up with Marilyn Monroe. But there was one incident that Stanley tried to forget, when punk rocker Sid Vicious allegedly killed his girlfriend in room 100.
He was an interesting person. I mean, first of all, everyone says he killed his girlfriend, Nancy Spungen, which he never did. Believe it or not, they were writing a song about them committing suicide, like a modern-day Romeo and Juliet. And she did. And he didn't go through with it. He moved to the East Village somewhere where he eventually OD'd. And he pleaded with me to take him back. He wanted to die here in the Chelsea. And I wouldn't allow it. I said the media, I didn't want that kind of publicity. But he was a quiet person when he was here. When he was on stage, he was a different individual. But I knew him as quiet, very much in love. He loved this girl. Every time they would go out, they would be holding hands, hugging and kissing.
I spent a week here, walking the halls, listening to the murmur of voices behind doors and echoing through the ornate stairwells. Any hotel with such a history just has to have ghosts. Art murmured and sometimes shouted from the walls. Mark Rothko, among others, traded art for rent. Many more lived or stayed here.
I wanted always to be known as a haven for the literary, for the creative, for the bohemian. And I struggled keeping it and managing it and just keeping it the same. And that's my lifelong ambition.
Alas, that was not to happen. In 2007, Stanley was booted out by a shareholder. The hotel has sold twice since. Stanley, who never realized his dream to keep the tradition going, was quite bitter. He died in 2017. But the restoration happened. The Chelsea's doors were auctioned off, Bob Dylan's for $100,000. The door to room 424, where Janis Joplin and Leonard Cohen had the tryst that inspired Cohen's Chelsea Hotel No. 2, went for $85,000. The Chelsea is now reopened. About 40 of the old tenants remain, even though ghosts might be heard singing, reciting poetry, or shouting in the stairwell.